Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society Podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on Facebook at Crazon Dion.
Hey everybody, this is Lunell, the original bad girl of comedy. I'm here at the Link Promenade in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, and you're watching the Film Review.
Here we go, people. Here we go, people.
Yep.
We have another great episode of the Film Review. How do you like our new background, people? I don't know what's going on with the layout, but you know what's going on with this snow. But right now, live from Las Vegas, streaming globally, the Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. As I try to get rid of this snow real quick, people, let's try that right there. There we go. We have it. Right now, don't forget, people, we are streaming live right now on the Film Review Life channel on YouTube. That's right. The Film Review Life channel on YouTube. We are streaming live. Go there. Subscribe to the channel. We're also on coming live to you from Blog Talk Radio and another social media platform that everyone knows, right? Also, we're heard on the replay on iHeartRADIO, Podcast Addict, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and GooglePlay, right? We are global, people, and we make sure that we make everything happen. If you should want to call in to this jam-packed show, 213-943-3358, 213-943-3358, and let people know that the Film Review is on. We're always on Sundays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific and 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Check your local listings for the other zones, time zones, you know. Right. But people, do we have a jam-packed show for you today? Right? So before we begin, we always ask, you, how was your day? People, let me introduce you to the person that I'm next to. For those who may not know, I am the husband and this is the wife. I am the voice of the filmmaker, and my wife is the voice of the critic. This is Tracy, people. So, how was your day? The Film Review.
My day was good.
Or your week?
Well, the week was interesting. A lot going on.
Well,
Trump was acquitted. Rihanna's Navy was going back and forth with her on Twitter because, you know, they want her to put out an album, but she has so many other things going on. I'm sure she'll get to the album, but
did you see her
it wasn't
new
really
reveal?
nasty.
Did you see her new reveal?
No, but the back and forth on the internet wasn't harsh or anything. It was really light, kind of playful, but they really want her to put out an album. But what's the reveal?
The big reveal, she was in her 30s.
Oh.
Roaring 20s outfit. Okay. That's right. She was in her Roaring 20s outfit.
Okay.
And she showed off the new Rihanna, people. Okay. I was just talking to my wife about Rihanna, and I was like, it looks like Rihanna, besides all the busy things that she's been doing, she took time off because now she's grown into her woman body. Before it was the teenage young woman body, but now it's the grown woman body, and she took time off to get it ready, and then she just revealed it in a Roaring 20s outfit.
Oh, nice.
And the crowd goes wild. Shout out to I Am Harley Boy on Instagram for posting the picture, and it's very interesting. We'll just say the least on that, all right? Yeah. The least on that.
They were saying Kobe may have two services, one at his church, and the other may be the Staples Center?
Oh, at the Staples Center. So
so there may be two services for.
Yeah, that's interesting for the people and then the close family members. Yeah, I mean, this is it's interesting what has happened in these last few weeks, but this week in particular, with Trump being acquitted.
Right.
And also, did you see this, people? This meme came up, and I had a comment on it, and we need to talk about this, right? This meme came up, right?
Right.
And so, it says, Rush Limbaugh receiving his Medal of Freedom, America revealed and unbridled, right? And so my response to this particular poster was, the person who posted it was, what are you going to do about it, right? People, I don't know why American black people are always shocked. Mm-hmm. They should stop being shocked that white folks are racist, right? They should stop being shocked. So you put, I don't know what this is, the dragon, the grand dragon, the color red. I don't know what that is with the Klan or whatever that is. Usually they're wearing white robes, but anyway, they have it and they superimpose the Klan robe over it, and she's doing that, right? And my thing is, do people think that white folks who spit the type of venom that Rush Limbaugh spit on his radio program are just playing? Do they believe that they're just playing? Do they believe that they don't believe what they're saying and they're just doing it for money? Anybody who knows where Rush Limbaugh comes from Missouri. What's famous in Missouri? Sundown towns.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So that means the mentality of the white folks that would come from Missouri would be most likely racist. Right? To know his story and to realize that his people were some of the first ones who, his great, I don't know how far it goes back, where it was one of the first people to bring slaves to Missouri. So what would you think is thinking about, or are you? Sometimes I wonder if people aren't projecting onto white folks when dealing with this race thing,
right.
What's actually in their heart, like when they're espousing this pro-blackness or love black people first, that it's all just an act to possibly get paper. Sometimes I think that people believe that, but these people aren't playing, right? And everyone is upset because they gave him the Medal of Freedom, right? But why wouldn't they give him the Medal of Freedom? Because he espoused what they wanted. Maybe American blacks should start to espouse pro for themselves and quit needing to try to rub elbows. But we're going to get to that. You got something else on the blurbs of this week? Right? Okay, so let's continue with this, people. So that meme came up, and I thought that was very interesting, to say the least. Like, people are pumping people up and getting people agitated, and I asked the question, what are you going to do about it?
So that was photoshopped.
Yeah, that's a Photoshop.
So this Photoshop and stuff is amazing because, I mean, they make this stuff look really real.
It makes it look like,
and we saw the State of the Union. I mean, most people did, and we know for a fact that
Russ wasn't looking
happened.
like that. Russ
right.
had some kind of electrodes on to try to keep whatever is happening to him with his lungs together. It was real. So people, that's why we had this new segment now called The American Black Politic, right? The American Black Politic, right? Which gets us into the topic for today. That meme and everything. Let me put the meme back up one more time so that you can see it. This meme one more time. With Russia, with the Klan's robe being superimposed on top of Rush Limbaugh receiving the Medal of Freedom from Trump during the State of the Union, right?
Okay.
So this gets us to our topic for today, which is, let me move this out the way so we can have this back up here and go. American Black are American blacks ignorant or dumb for voting 98% Democrat? Fear is not a reason to vote.
Okay.
Now, fear is definitely not a reason to vote, but we're going to take the first part first. Let's dissect this. Are American blacks ignorant or dumb for voting 98% Democrat?
No, I think it's just loyalty, just like every other groups they tend to do with their family members did traditionally. So it's more of a tradition. But now, right. So, but now, it's with social media and everyone has access to the internet, unlike our previous, family members, ancestors. You can look a lot of stuff up yourself. Issues, the politics of that politician, their voting record, while in office. So now we do have the tools, unlike our grandparents and parents, right? And aunts and uncles. Now we have the tools to look into the different candidates, right? So now there's no excuse for voting for someone who doesn't have the best interest of you and your group.
Okay, so you say that it's tradition.
Right.
It's a blind tradition.
Blind tradition, but now we have the tools. We have the technology, to look into these different candidates.
We have the technology
we have
to
the technology.
rebuild him.
So
right. Okay, people. So let's go through this, right? So we put this up. This is the topic of the night, and we put this up as I do my okay. So we put this up as I do my push, as I push this out, push the signal out, right?
Right.
So I saw that meme.
Okay.
So I asked the person, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
I wish American blacks would stop being shocked that whites are racist. Rush Limbaugh from Missouri, like we said before, son downtown.
Right.
Do you think he was playing? I mean, so do you think that Trump is playing? Do you think, right?
Okay.
So let's break this down before we get to the question, are American blacks ignorant or dumb for voting 98% Democrat, right? Let's break it down. Let's not go all the way back to 1865 or 1619. Let's not go back that far. Let's go to Jim Crow.
Okay.
Let's start in 1950.
Okay.
Jim Crow, but Jim Crow was going on right after that. Jim Crow started right after 1865, first 7 years after that. We won't research that for yourself. But anyway, so Jim Crow, but let's start in the 1950s, right?
Okay.
Jim Crow. Both parties participated in Jim Crow in the South, right?
Okay.
Lynching. The Dixiecrats, the Dems, were the ones that were lynching in the South, right? And they were also the ones, when we've been through this before, when Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, Voter Rights Act, a lot of that, and continue on. Said they'd never take the South again. They moved over to the Republicans, right? So let's speed forward to the 1980s. Ready Rock, the cocaine, was brought in by the Republicans under Ronald Reagan, supervised by then, what was it? Colonel or General or Colonel Oliver North.
Okay.
He got a television show off that, right?
Right.
Three Strikes. A decade later in the 90s.
Okay.
Three Strikes.
Okay.
Who spearheaded Three Strikes? Biden in the Senate,
Okay.
Clinton as president, and Hillary spearheaded it. And what did Hillary spearhead it with?
Okay.
She spearheaded it with something called something predators.
Okay, so you just said Ronald Reagan. Okay, he funded the Contra War.
The Contra War.
By putting crack in the black community.
Well, he brought the cocaine.
He brought the cocaine
in a secret covert mission.
Okay, so this was...
that was turned into Ready Rock.
Right.
That surely a scientist came up with that at the same time to be twofold, and then it was distributed out, right?
And these were all facts. I mean, we saw it on television.
Yeah, this is fact. This is fact. What's her name from California? She was talking about it for the longest time. The one that said reclaiming my time.
Oh, Maxine Waters.
That's right. She talked about it for so long.
But this is the president, Ronald Reagan.
Right.
Is this the same president that Barack Obama said he looked up to?
Exactly.
Okay, so then if we go to the Three Strikes.
Right, which is a decade later.
Okay, and Biden played a major role in that.
He was in the Senate pushing it through with the Republicans.
And then President Obama makes him his vice president.
Exactly.
And then so Hillary Clinton, whose husband is Bill Clinton, he played a role also.
That's right, because he signed the bill into law.
And President Obama made her his Secretary of State.
Exactamundo. Now remember, Biden was a Democrat, but he was pushing this along with the Republicans in the Senate, along with to get Democrats and Republicans on board to push Three Strikes.
Okay.
Right? Then Clinton signed it into law, but his wife was pushing it with something called super predators.
Okay. Wow.
Saying that these are super predators and they need to be up off the street. He also released 100,000 more police officers on the street.
Right.
This is what Clinton did. Now, we were at a certain location and we were having this discussion.
Okay.
And the people who were so pro-Democrat didn't even know that Biden, Clinton, and Hillary were spearheading this and getting this passed, right?
Right.
With the Republicans' help.
Okay.
And, so Three Strikes. Wiped out. Okay, so let's go back for a minute. Let's go back and put this clearly so you understand.
Okay.
Black women are the most beautiful women on the planet, right? Crack comes and takes away the beauty of women who use the drug and made males who use the drug irresponsible and chemically change their mind to make them irresponsible, lecherous thievers in the community, thus being called crackheads, right? People joked about crackheads, right? But being a crackhead has never been a joking matter ever, right? So let's go through this again. So Reagan and them bring this in and it wipes out the women. And you know that the women are the strength of the nation. If the woman is not strong, then the nation falls because the woman can be compromised, right? Fast forward 10 years later, and the Three Strikes, and the Democrats taking the males off the street. So let's put this together. Decade before, Republicans took the black woman out, right, who raised the children, which means that there was a whole generation of kids, of the next generation of kids coming up that were under people who were afflicted by crack, right? You fast forward to the decade, to the 1990s, and they're taking the males from out of the house, right? Through 3 strikes. 3 strikes, you're out of here. You're going to prison, right? Okay. Now let's just fast forward to today, the 2010s.
With the opioids.
And the opioids, and the opioids are drugs, and they're dying in the car with the baby in the back seat, and it's irresponsible, and it makes them lecherous, irresponsible thievers. Also, but this is called a health problem.
That's a sickness.
It's a sickness and a health problem. It's not something that is detrimental to the society. So you see the difference.
The same, It's the same. Like the outcome also, like with the crack issue, was also a health issue, and it affects the body. Right. Just like the opioids affect the body. So both are and mind. So both are illnesses and sicknesses due to this drug
released.
Right.
Chemically created in a laboratory.
Right.
Right now.
Right.
So we went through it. So the 80s was Ready Rock.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Brought the cocaine provided by the Republicans for the Contra war. Right. The 90s come in, and the Democrats push 3 strikes, and they get it in, and so you're wiping out 2 groups of people. So now you have the women wiped out in the 80s, thus the children coming up, it's a 50-50 chance, right? So you come into the 90s, and then they take the males out of the house, the kids have a 25% chance. Right? And they're weighing these averages and weighing out these averages and saying that maybe the father may see the son as he's revolving out of prison, may see the son coming into prison, or the mother who was wrapped up in it may see the daughter coming into prison as she's leaving, or both may still be there and spend some quality time together, never really ever having that time before.
Right.
But you will have it. So you see where we're going with this, right? So are black people ignorant or dumb to vote 98% Democrat and keep their loyalty to Democrats? Now,
well, I gave you my opinion. So today there isn't any excuse because everyone has access. To the internet to look into these different politicians that are running for office today, right? Whereas before, the older generation didn't have the internet and didn't have access.
I don't give excuses, right?
Okay.
You see how now Farrakhan and Rush Limbaugh, there's no comparison. Farrakhan, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is speaking on black people protecting themselves against racism. So it's like what Claude Anderson said. It's like a person bobbing and weaving to defend against what's coming in. Rush Limbaugh is attacking, however. Right? Here's the Honorable Louis Farrakhan telling you. I've been hearing the Honorable Louis Farrakhan since I came and first understood him. Like I had read the autobiography of Malcolm X, but coming in and discovering him through a videotape, right? And he's been saying the same thing since when I came in. I knew about him in '87, but some of the tapes were dated '85. So we just started '85, and he's been kicking to the people what was happening then, right? What was happening in the 80s, coming into the 90s. This man has been kicking this message and telling people, and we refuse as a people.
Well, not all of us. Some.
We refuse as a whole, because you can say whatever you like, but for the most part, Caucasians, because of, we've talked about this before, Caucasians will go along with the program And you know they go along with the program because
Right.
they're not in multicultural neighborhoods.
Right.
You know if the Caucasian is going along with the program, no
Right.
matter what they say,
Right.
you can always tell by the neighborhood they live in.
Okay.
If it's multicultural,
Okay.
then you know that they're not with the program. If
Right.
it's not multicultural,
Right.
if it's diverse,
Right.
or if it's hardly any just us there, then no American blacks there, hardly, maybe one maybe too much because they got a wife and some kids, might be too much, then they are with the program. Cut blank, is period, put it right there, right? Put a stop there. Let's go on though. We talked about 3 strikes.
Okay.
Voter suppression. Both parties practice voter suppression,
Okay.
right? Both parties practice it so much that within the party, if there are black people who feel that they have advanced their way up,
Right.
each party will tell that person, you should wait. Isn't that what they told Secretary of State?
Yeah.
Ken Blackwell, they told him, no, it's not your time. We have somebody else. No, I felt that it's my time. I did everything. He said, no, we don't want you, buddy.
Maybe they could have ran him against Obama. That'd have been interesting. 2 black men, 1 Republican, 1 black running for office.
Michael Steele. Remember Michael Steele for the Republicans? Yeah. They put him in because he was supposed to come up with ideas to defeat President Obama. And when President Obama got elected and Michael Steele seemed like he was feckless in their eyes, they removed him from it. Then they put Ranks Priebus.
Oh,
do we remember Ranks Priebus? And Ranks Priebus went all gung-ho. Trump was in the White House for a while, but then decided to leave. We haven't heard from Ranks Priebus. Let's continue. Democrats are for illegal immigration. All they push for is illegal immigration, making sure that the illegal immigrants have their EIN number, and that way they can then go get a driver's license, and then they can vote and also get housing.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Barbara Jordan told us in the 90s in the Barbara Jordan report that immigration was bad for black people, and it lays out why immigration is bad for American blacks, right? But what are the Democrats talking about now? They don't talk about reparations. What do they talk about? What do they talk about? Let's go through it again. What do they talk about? They talk about illegal immigration, make sure that people can come across. They care so much for people who are not even citizens of America.
So is this what Martin Luther King was talking about when he said he was afraid that he may have led his people into a burning house?
Yes. And furthermore, look at what the Republicans under Trump are doing. This is you have to look at what's good for you, policies that are good, right? Under Trump right now, they are under Trump. He is has stopped the immigration, has put certain steps into immigration, and stopped all the illegal immigration at the border, right? And the job market for black people, miraculously, the jobs have opened up. Why? Because the Democrats were pushing for immigrants to replace black people. You can't cut it any other way. Are black people ignorant or dumb for voting 98% Democrat?
So do you think what the situation is now that the new generation or younger generation of black people are asking more questions, and the Democrats, they saw that the gig is up. So now, because we're not able to continue to put the wool over their eyes, pull the wolves over their eyes, pull the wolves. pull the wool over their eyes, we need to bring in another group that we can give promises to, right? And spin them around in a circle without really never doing anything for that group of people, just fattening our pockets.
Right.
So now that, we have the technology and black people are looking more into what's going on, behind each of the politicians, right? And they are asking for us, well, not me, but they are asking the different candidates that they vote for, the politicians, to do something but we placed you in office. This is what we need for you to do. This is your job as a politician.
Or before we place you in office.
Right, or before we place you in office, or for those they place in office. We expect for you to do your job, right? Which is to provide and make sure that we have the access and education and the jobs and whatever issues that...
No, at this point, all of that is really null and void, right? Because what we're looking at is reparations.
Right. And reparations too.
What
I'm saying is people are using their voices basically. And they're asking what the hell they're saying what's going on. And they're asking, what are you going to do about this mess? We put you in office over and over and over again. And all we're getting is just like being spinning around in a circle.
Before Mahalia Jackson looked at Martin Luther King in Washington in front of the Lincoln Monument and said, "Tell him about the dream, Martin."
Right.
Martin was talking about a check that was presented to American blacks that when they went to present it at the bank, it came back insufficient funds.
Right.
Now since then they have just latched on to "I have a dream," but there's so many years and so much water under the bridge since '63. Let's go back to before Mahalia Jackson said, "Martin, tell him about the dream," because the speech was in their eyes getting long and it was a little drawn out, and Mahalia Jackson, being the entertaining gospel singer that she was, she knew the difference between kicking the brimstone and kicking "Oh Happy Day." And so she said, "Martin, tell him about the dream." But let's go back to the part of the speech when he was talking about a check, insufficient funds. This is what we're talking about. And we're talking about reparations, and that's what they should be talking about. That's what the Democrats should be talking about before black people American blacks even raise their hand to pull a lever, punch a ballot, tap on a screen, on a computer screen, voting. Before they do that, they should really be talking about that.
Because black people, some black people are independent. Like, I'm an independent. I just look into all of the politicians and see which politician best benefits my community, like what they're saying, so I don't just blindly follow behind any group.
Right. So
I have to see what you're saying, and I need to look into your history, of voting, what have you done for the community, what have you done that definitely was not good for the community, right? So you have some of us that vote independent, and you have some of us that vote Democrat, and you have some of us that vote Republican, and so you have to.
And that's what we need to get to.
So people need to be more educated,
right?
In their pattern of voting.
Right.
So.
The reason why they count on black people so much to vote. Now, how they know that for Hillary that black women voted 96% and black men voted 88% for Hillary, right? It's because Caucasians in this country do not stay loyal to the parties that they say that they are loyal to. First of all, no one who is voting is actually a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, a Green Party, a Libertarian. No one that is voting is actually that. The people who run the party, who are in the party, who receive a paycheck to come up with policy and come up with strategies and tactics.
Okay.
Those are Republicans, Democrats, Independent, Green Party, Libertarians. Those who are in office are Democrats, Republicans, Green Party, Libertarians, Independents. The people who cast the vote are people who they rely on, who are just citizens of the United States of America, right? And so how they know that black people are usually loyal to the Democratic Party and are a loyal base is because black people stay loyal and white people jump all over. Like the ones that were Reagan, they became Clinton Democrats, and then the Clinton Democrats became Bush 2 Republicans. Then the Bush 2 Republicans switched over and became Obama Republicans. Then when Obama left, then all of a sudden the ones who voted for Obama overwhelmingly voted for Trump overwhelmingly. So that's why there is no law. And black people have to, I believe, begin to vote by what policies are put forth, see how the policies help them. And Trump stopping immigration, illegal immigration, is one thing that is helping black people. Now all the rest of it, the Rush Limbaugh being in the Red Dragon, being superimposed in the Red Dragon outfit, we know that Caucasians are racist. And there's no getting over that. But maybe we should start, working. The plan would be, you know what I'm saying? Like me, I never voted for a Republican, and I never will. That's just me. But the plan should be because Trump did talk about, you built this country, right? He did talk about that. Now,
did he?
If you don't believe what we're saying, all we have to do is just go right here. We always come prepared for things, right? Now, this is the State of the Union address, right? So, the State of the Union address, Trump was talking, right?
This is the home of Thomas Edison and Teddy Roosevelt.
This is what he says.
Of many great generals, including Washington, Pershing, Patton, and MacArthur. This is the home of Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Amelia Earhart, Harriet Tubman, the right.
Now let's stop that right there. Now, so he said, this is the country of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, right? Now, for people who they would say, oh, he talked about Frederick Douglass, but you see, Frederick Douglass was on Lincoln's ass. Lincoln didn't just come to the decisions he made without being pushed and cajoled, and Frederick Douglass was the guy that was doing it. So even though, beyond popular belief, the truth is Lincoln was just looking for a way to keep the Union together. If he could have kept the Union together while slavery still existed, he would have done that. Right? Because he was a politician. But he said, the economics, if I punish the South for trying to succeed by ending slavery, that will take away their economic base, and then they won't be able to necessarily fight. You got to think this out. So he's a politician. So let's continue. Let's see what else Trump says during the State of the Union.
Brothers, Neil Armstrong, and so many more. This is the country where children learn names like Wyatt Earp, Davy Crockett, and Annie Oakley. This is the place where the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth, and where Texas patriots made their last stand at the Alamo. Okay,
let's stop right there. For people who don't know what the Alamo is and what it means, when the white folks say, remember the Alamo, right? That is a universal cry. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, Democrat, independent, libertarian,
Right.
green party, red party, blue party.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter. That is a universal cry because Caucasians were massacred at the Alamo. And who massacred them? The Mexicans. And so you will see why. So these are things that you have to research the history and know the history. You know what I'm saying? Have learned the history and know what those dog whistles are, right? So he's putting all this in, but he's incorporating, if you notice, he's incorporating black and white and black, right? He's incorporating, he's naming these names, right? And let's continue. Then I come and I tell you a story exactly about when that happened. We were over a person's house. We'll tell that story in 1 second. Let's continue with what he's talking. So he gets applause.
Beautiful, beautiful Alamo. The American nation was carved out of the vast frontier by the toughest, strongest, fiercest, and most determined men and women ever to walk on the face of the earth. Our ancestors braved the unknown, tamed the wilderness, settled the Wild West, lifted millions from poverty, disease, and hunger, vanquished tyranny and fascism, ushered the world to new heights of science and medicine, laid down the railroads, dug out the canals.
Okay, stop right there. Laid the rail and dug out the trenches, right?
Right.
That particular part of the ancestry tale, that would be the black story of the ancestry trail. I mean, if you want to hear and see it was a comedy, but it was based on truth. Blazing Saddles, the opening sequence of Blazing Saddles tells you everything that you need to know about who was actually doing the work, who was actually thought to be weak while doing the work, and who, like always, was overseeing the work but wasn't working. So that part right there where Trump says about laying the rail and digging out the everything, that was the heavy work that was done until machinery came around to do it. That was the heavy work that was being done by American blacks. So let's continue with that. So let's be clear with this.
American descendants of slaves.
That's right.
Raised up the skyscrapers, and ladies and gentlemen, our ancestors built the most exceptional republic ever to exist in all of human history, and we are making it greater than ever before.
Okay, so he gets applause. So let's pause that real quick. Okay, look. How many people know that America is a republic, that is the governmental form is a democracy, and it's a capitalist system? How many people really know that America is a republic? That is a democracy. That's the form of government, 3 branches of government, and then, but it's capitalism. It's driven by capitalism, right? So that means that the people get with their group, and they say, "Oh, you grew the cotton, you cultivated the sugar, you grew the tobacco. Well, we're gonna buy that from you, and you can't sell it unless you come through our conglomerate to do it, and we're gonna sell it back to you at a certain price that may be fair to you or may not be to you, and we may come around and say, here's a sale or get a deal." That is what capitalism is, right? And so when you're sitting here, people, now remember when I said people get with their group, produce something, and this is what makes this whole situation churn. So we were having a discussion about reparations at a business location, and the person said, "Well, I don't know." It was a black person. I don't know if black people are ready to have. I said, "What is this but a republic that's a democracy that's built on capitalism? Even if some black people just blew their money, it would help build the economy because this is built on a capitalist system, which the economy has to churn. That's the whole point. That's why they come out with the job numbers, because the job numbers indicate how much people will spend.
Right.
So when I'm saying that people get together with their group, we want to get together and do that with different people. We want to rub shoulders with different people. But do you remember this? Do you remember this from Schoolhouse Rock? Schoolhouse Rock, people. Do you remember this part from Schoolhouse Rock? I'm just going to play a little bit.
You will discover when you get next to one another is everybody needs some elbow room, elbow room.
They told you in Schoolhouse Rock that they need elbow room, and you're trying to rub shoulders with people who say they need elbow room. Watch Schoolhouse Rock. It's called Elbow Room. Watch it, and they tell you in the things that they produce what they're about. They don't want to be too close. That's not their thing. They want wide open spaces, and they will do what is necessary to have wide open spaces, and they don't want to be around just us. Right? And you're sitting there and you're going through the motions, trying to be rubbing shoulders, and they told you they need elbow room. They don't want to be around you. So let's go for it. Now, talking about now that's clear what Trump was talking about there, and he gets applause, right? So let's go to this is something else that when we were sitting at the thing. Now, listen to what Van Jones says.
What he was saying to African Americans can be effective. You may not like it, but he mentioned HBCUs. Our black colleges have been struggling for a long time. A bunch of them have gone under. He threw a lifeline to them in real life, in his budget. He talked about that. He talked about the criminal justice reform. He talked about opportunity zones.
This school choice.
He talked about school choice. Listen, wake up. He doesn't have to be effective. He has to be effective to move margins at key states. And the thing about it is, and I think that we got to wake up, folks. There's the whole bubble thing that goes on. We say, well, he said S-hole nations, therefore all black people are going to hate him forever. That ain't necessarily so. And I think what you're going to see him do is say, you may not like my rhetoric, but look at my results, look at my record to black people. If he narrowcasts that, it's going to be effective. Which means, as we move through this primary process, we've got to pay a lot more attention both to what's going on with the Latino vote, are we going to get a benefit in terms of having them respond, and with the black vote, is there going to be a split off, especially for black male voters? We got to be clinical about this stuff. We get so emotional about it. That was a warning to us, a warning shot across the ballot Democrats that he's going after enough black folks to cause this problem. It's not just the white suburban voters; he's going after black folks.
Okay, people. So let's stop there. Van Jones is sounding the alarm for Democrats because he's Democrat. True. Now let's go back to this disingenuousness. Okay. Van Jones worked with Trump. Like we talk about all the time on the show that we don't like them just saying, oh, prison reform, because every black person was not in prison. But we went through it before, what the Republicans did in the 80s, what the Democrats did in the 90s. Right. Which leads us into the three strikes that kept putting people in, and the reform. President Obama did something, but Trump, when he got in there with a bipartisan group of people, pushed to make sure that people are getting out of jail. And about 93% of the people who are getting out of jail right now are black people, because they were disproportionately by population being placed in the prison because of the three strikes. And disingenuousness, Van Jones was on that. It was within that bipartisan group of people. He knows, so when he's speaking and saying this is what Trump actually did, he actually did do that. He actually did make funding to HBCUs permanent, not something that has to be voted on all the time, but something that is permanent. his immigration policies is making it possible for black people who would usually be out of work. Then what do you do when you can't find a job? Then all of a sudden you go into something that will put you into the 3 strikes. It will put you into prison that the Democrats did. And remember who the Democrats originally were?
Right.
Dixiecrats. Who are the Republicans? They are the former Dixiecrats. Right? So but as a group of people, you have to start looking at the policies that do it. So Van Jones, and he broke it down. This is a sound, the alarm moment. Let's continue on now. Now, we were in a location, a business location. We were talking. We talk general politics, right? The American black politics. We talk American black politics. We don't talk Democrat, we don't talk Republican, we don't talk Independent, we don't talk Green Party, though we do talk to those who profess to be that, but we talk the American black politics. American black politics. That's what we discuss, right? So within the discussion, the people didn't know that Trump, now none of the Democrats have ever said this, right? Bill Clinton came up with apologies for slavery, but he didn't put anything behind it. Because you got to put when the apology comes, you got to put some quid pro quo behind that, which is usually some paper. And they have not been willing to put paper behind it. And why? Because they know that once we would get the paper, we would then excel, and within a decade, just like Hannibal, within a decade, we will have overtaken everyone in this country if we ever get that reparation. Even the people who would just waste the money, the people who didn't would advance the plight of us and thus put us in first place. That's what I surmise. But anyway, so let's go through it. So they didn't know that Trump talked about black people building this country. And a lot of people probably don't, so we have to show you this right here. This was at the summit. Now, the summit arguably was put on by first and second generation Africans who are calling themselves Africa American. They don't say African American, they say Africa American. Okay? Miss Africa America. They don't say Miss African America. They say Miss African American. They say Miss Africa American, right? Now, so it was put on by them. So this doesn't get as much applause as it should get because of politics between first and second generation Africans who are coming to this country. So listen to what Trump says here. This is very important.
Americans built this nation. You built this nation. You're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right? But with Candace around and Terrence, that's not going to happen for long. But through generations of blood, sweat, and tears, and you deserve a government that defends your interests, protects your families, and cares for our own citizens first. At the border where they want the open policies, they want open borders, they don't want walls. They actually do want walls, but because I want it, I know how I can get the wall. If I announce tomorrow I don't want a wall, the Democrats would come out in favor of the wall. I should have thought of that 2 years ago, but the wall's being built. It would have been a lot easier. We don't want the wall. We want the wall. I said, all right, go ahead and build. Our philosophy is grounded in the sacred bonds of love and loyalty that unite all Americans, and we really have been united. It's been an incredible thing. A lot of great things have been happening. You don't necessarily see it at the top of government, where the hatred is tremendous, the hatred toward us. And a lot of it is because of the success. We're having such success.
Now, so he says that he's having success, right?
Right.
And that there is a lot of hatred there. But he says at the beginning that you built this country And then he notices that the applause isn't as much as he thought it would be. So he says, I'm not, he then begins to reformulate because he sees that the people in the room aren't necessarily ADOS, okay, or American blacks, right? 1619, right? So he starts to see that. So he reformulates and says that you're just now starting to get recognized for the fact that you did that, right? And he goes on and gives compliments to some people to get the applause line. But then he goes on and talks about something else. He talks about the hate that they are receiving at the hands of the Democrats. Now, if I'm a Democrat, right? First of all, me personally, I'm not claiming to be anything, right? But if I'm a person, I'm looking at it. First of all, I'm looking at it clearly. The Russians, if they did interfere, didn't put some advertisements up or whatnot, let black people know about what Hillary actually did, if that's true or not, and talking about its bots and stuff. They did not mess with the election as far as electronically. They didn't do that. And Hillary did not out hustle Trump. She took the vote in Ohio and Michigan for granted, and that's where he won, and that's where it is. So no matter what people say, no matter how they cut it, no matter how they try to change it, this is what was really going on, right? That's what's really going on. And so it's no need to even take it any further as far as saying that it was anything else but that, right? So are American blacks ignorant or dumb for voting 98% Democrat, excuse me, instead of voting on issues and policy, being able to be more astute to what policies will help black people. We already ran through what both parties have done, right? Neither party has done anything to help repair that as far as reparations is concerned. You know, when you're, in closing this, when you're just talking about the issue and not getting to the root of the problem, then you're safe. It's safe. So you can go through there and then get a few dollars for an issue, get a few dollars to help find the cure for cancer. When the cure for cancer has to do with what you eat, drink, ingest into your body. That's it. But they won't tell you that because there's so much money being made to have a chemical to try to push to get a cure. So long as you talk about the issue and don't get to the root, you are safe. And so because black people want to rub elbows, but like they told you, they want elbow room. And because black people want to stick with a party because of something that happened with Martin Luther King and JFK and Nixon so many years ago, before JFK actually, as JFK was running and way before Nixon got a chance to be a president, we are sitting and looking at this and research the history. You have to know. So are black people ignorant or dumb? The word ignorant has to do with when you don't know something. Once you know something and you continue to do the same thing that you do, then you become dumb. And so that's where we will leave that, and you will figure this out. You know, and so I leave that for individuals to figure out. When you're ignorant, you don't know. When you know and you continue to do, you then become dumb for doing it, and the people will laugh at you. There it is, right? Right. So that's it for the American Black politics today. We ran through that pretty swiftly, and we got that going, right?
Yeah, breaking news.
Breaking news. What is it?
Brad Pitt. He won an Oscar for supporting actor.
Oh, he won an Oscar for Once Upon a Time.
Yep.
In Hollywood.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
All right, people. So look. First review of the night, right?
Okay.
First review of the night is, well, you know what? Before we do that, let's go here. Because, there's a new movie coming out, people. There's a new movie coming out with Chris Rock starring and producing.
Okay.
It's called none other than
this is my wife Emma, this is my son Charlie.
Spiral from the book of Saw. Right? So this is the trailer. We're gonna listen to it a little bit. This is gonna be interesting because Chris Rock and all of them are doing their thing, right? Let's see. Stewart says, as far as he says, Super Predators. Turn the volume up on the speech. I can't turn the volume up on the speech because copyright violation. So we just have to listen, right? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what he did the pledge of allegiance, right? And then Shaneem says, we need another party. Yeah, right? So this is Saw. And this is going to be a great movie, right? It's been a debate and about black people in horror film and being the heroes in horror film. So Spiral is coming out, and as you see, we have the FBI situation in front of it, so that we can protect ourselves as we do our review. Right? Comes out on the 15th of May.
Right.
The film review is there. Right.
Yep.
Right. So also coming up. Oh yes. If you haven't heard Jadakiss and the Rick Ross joint, right? This joint right here is incredible. I suggest that all you have to do is go to YouTube, not now, but go to YouTube and type in Jadakiss and Rick Ross, and you will be able to hear this joint. It is incredible, well put together. You will love it. It is hip hop at its finest. When they say that hip hop is dead, I always say it with those never wasers that say that hip hop is dead, right? Because it's very much alive.
Very much.
The music selection, the use of singing on the hook, and the verses. What could be better than Jadakiss and Rick Ross? Now, people, the first review of the night is one called Birds of Prey. Right? So Birds of Prey stars, let me get to the page.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, right? Rosie Perez as Renee Montana. Journey Smollett Bell as Black Canary. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as the Huntress. Ella J. Basco as Cassandra Cain. Chris Messina as Victor, that name is Zars. Stephen Williams as Captain Patrick Erickson. And Dana Lee as Doc, the Chinese restaurant owner, right? It's an all-star cast in this film. It is an all-star cast in this film, as I like that. So that's the official trailer for it as we come down right here, as we come back here. All right? So look. It's an all-star cast. Margot Robbie. You know her from Focus with Will Smith, 2015. Now, she's had work before, but it's the piece called Focus with Will Smith that really put her on our radar.
It's a really good film.
Really good film.
So check it out if you haven't seen it.
If you haven't seen it, definitely see it, right?
Right.
So, she was also Suicide Squad, 2016, another one, Will Smith.
Right.
I, Tanya, 2017, she plays Tanya Harding.
That was another.
That was a good film. Yeah. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019, she plays the slain. What's her name? The slain woman.
Sharon Tate.
Sharon Tate. She really brings Sharon Tate to life in that picture as far as her excitement about being seen on the screen and getting the first audience reaction. It's nothing like being in the theater and getting the first audience reaction from off of something that you have worked on when it's on the big screen. Right. And that's what she does, right?
And then 2013, you have The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, yeah. Rosie Perez, she, of course, we know her from first Do the Right Thing, 1989, Spike Lee. Right. White Men Can't Jump, 1992. Yeah. She's got The Habit TV series, 2019. Right? I just give a few because Rosie Perez has been working. Yes. Right? Yeah. And then there's Journey Smollett Bell, another person that has been working since a little child, right? But we started with Eve's Bayou, 1997, working alongside Samuel L. Jackson
and Lynn
Whitfield. Yeah. The Cosby Show TV show from 1998 to 1999. She was on there for 1 year, reoccurring character. The Great Debaters, 2007, working alongside none other than Denzel Washington and Nate Parker. Yeah. Right? True Blood TV series. She was on there from 2013 to 2014. Underground, the TV series.
Great show.
2016 to 2017. It only had 2 seasons. Yeah. Upcoming, she's going to be in the Lovecraft Country, 8 episodes that's coming out later on HBO 2020, right? Okay. Stephen Williams, right? Stephen Williams again plays the captain who is Rosie Perez's character's foil, right? But he is so accomplished as an actor that I could not leave him out. Right. You know, I had to really research because they didn't have a picture for him, and I had to go research to find this. So, but Cooley High, he played Jimmy Lee, 1975. Dukes of Hazzard, he had a reoccurring role, 1982 to 1983. The Equalizer, 1985. 21 Jump Street, 1987 to 1991. L.A. Law, 1987 to 1991. The X-Files, he was Mr. X on there from 1994 to 2002. Right? I can't read the Bernie Mac Show, he played Lloyd, 2003, 2004. The Leftovers, he played Virgil in 2015. The Leftovers, we watched that. It was such a disappointing ending. Yeah. The Shy.
The finale was horrible.
9 episodes he was on. He played the Heavy.
Oh, yeah, he sure did. He did a great job on The Shy.
2018. He was actually the father, and he got revenge for those who did what they did. Right. And Ambitions, he plays Stefan Carlisle, 2019. Okay. So, Birds of Prey. Let's talk about Birds of Prey, right? Finds Harley Quinn thrown out of on her ear by the Joker, right? She's on her own. No one knows that she's broken up until while in a drunken stupor she comes up with a quote-unquote great idea. Right. And that's where the movie kicks off. And because she's no longer protected by the Joker, everyone is out to get her. Right. And Harley Quinn has to find her way out, right? Right. Now, What's real interesting about the film is that Harley Quinn is what you would call a cheesecake character. Now we had a whole if you go back and you watch our episodes on cheesecake, right? Cheesecake is not a dish to eat, but cheesecake is a form of films that came out in the late 50s, early 60s, kind of ranged into the 70s, kind of died off, but makes its style of reappearance every now and then in film. One being Peppermint, and the Quentin Tarantino film that was a double feature. Those were cheesecake films. You go back and watch our review of Peppermint, and that was also a cheesecake film, right? Now, what makes cheesecake interesting is it is usually a Caucasian woman in tight-fitting clothing that has a certain build that appears that she could compete with a black woman's build. That's what cheesecake is. That's what it is. It's the comparison of finding women who, when put in certain types of clothing, can appear to compete with black women as far as build is concerned, okay? So keep that in mind, because we're going to come around to talking about the cheesecake factor in within the Harley Quinn's character's presentation, and why this film is not so much cheesecake. Okay. The film is a comedy action flick told non-linear to represent the mind of the unreliable narrator, which is Harley Quinn, right? Harley Quinn in her own story is not a badass. She's nothing like the Suicide Squad version of Harley Quinn, right? Matter of fact, much like the character in the Rhythm Room, the Harlequin character seems to bumble her way in and out of situations in the film. How she joins forces with Birds of Prey is a bumbled situation. Is this the type of cheesecake sheroes we're going to get under Me Too and Enough? Harley Quinn isn't even sexy in this picture. She's wearing baggy clothes, right? So is this the type of shero that we're going to get under Me Too and Enough? Due to Margot Robbie's obvious insecurity with post-baby body, Harley Quinn is a cheesecake villain shero, right? So because of her obvious, her obvious insecurity with post-baby body, and she's also an executive producer, PGA, on the film, we wind up not getting the Harley Quinn that we see in Suicide Squad, right? Harley Quinn is a cheesecake villain shero, and though the movie is cut well, it's funny and action sequences are brutal, the sexy is missing. And this is what we mean by the sexy is missing, right? So let me move this over here.
Was it supposed to be about sexy? I don't think so.
Oh, no? You don't think it's supposed to be about sexy?
No.
Okay. Let's go through this real quick and prove this up. All right. So let me pull these different images up here, right? Bring this up. All right, here we go. Now, this is an action figure from the Suicide Squad, right? It's an action figure from the Suicide Squad.
Oh, they have action figures.
Yeah, they have action figures for Harley Quinn and all the
Okay.
Suicide Squad. But this is the action figure for Harley Quinn, right?
Right. Okay.
Now, if what you notice about the action figure for Harley Quinn is she's got a cut-off top, tank top. She's got on shorts showing her midriff, right? She's got basically just boy cut shorts on, right?
Okay.
And then you can see that the action figure right here, as you see when the action figure turns around, you're basically getting all just out butt cheeks, right? Now this is something that she posed for, right?
Okay.
And it has interchangeable faces, right? And the guy who reviewed it said that it was a pretty good action figure and that young boys between 10 and 11 and 12 would be, you know, having the action figure and having some, fantasy.
So was this the action figure for her film or from Suicide Squad?
No, I said this is Suicide Squad, right?
Okay.
Right, but this is what Harley Quinn is, a cheesecake character. And cheesecake, again, has to do with Caucasian women that they put into certain outfits that can compete with the black woman's, or appear to compete with the black woman's build. So that's one example right there, right? Another example of the Harley Quinn figure comes from this piece right here, which again, this is actually Harley Quinn after she breaks up with Joker, because she has the two, you can't really see it here, but what are the laughing hyenas? She has two laughing hyenas.
Okay.
In the movie we saw, she only has one, right?
Okay,
so this
is that from? That's from Suicide Squad also.
Yes, this is from Suicide.
When she broke up with Joker.
This is still from Suicide Squad. Well, actually, this is what I say, right? Because this isn't necessarily the first one that we showed you is actually made on Margot Robbie. This one right here is what they say that Harley Quinn would look like, right? So she's popping out of a Joker box, and she has two laughing hyenas, and as you can see, the boy cut shorts again, right?
Okay.
So this was something that people buy. It's like a memorabilia, right?
Okay. So, but
right now. Now, so here's another example. I'm just giving the examples and the contrast, right? Now, remember I said that the Harley Quinn figure for Suicide Squad, which she posed for, had interchangeable faces, right? And you see that they spotlight that you can change the action figure, move the action figure, you can pump her booty out, you can do all that, right? And this is what she posed for. Now, remember I said that Harley Quinn is a cheesecake DC figure created by DC.
Okay.
It is a cheesecake. You can't cut it any other way.
They changed the image of Harley Quinn in this film.
They changed the image of Harley Quinn because the main actor that they're going with just finished coming from off of baby weight and all that. So this is the new action figure that Margot Robbie posed for, and you see she's wearing the baggy pants, right? And she's got, instead of having interchangeable faces, because we're in the middle of Me Too and Enough, she doesn't have the interchangeable faces that have to do with being sexy. She has interchangeable hands that go along with the mallets, right? So this is not cheesecake at all. And to put insult to injury, people. Insult to injury to this, because this is supposed to be a cheesecake figure, right? And we already told you what cheesecake figure is. What is this? What is that, people? You see this? What's that, people? She posed. This is the new action figure for. Look at this, people. Is this Harley Quinn? I'm just saying. I mean, we're just looking at it like, so the new Suicide Squad is gonna come, and we're gonna have to have that back. We don't know what it is. It's just what it is. It's just the way the comic book character was written, right? That's the way the comic book character was written to be a cheesecake figure, a person that's walking around that is a badass female that is built that appears to be able to compete with a black. Raquel Welch played in films like it, so many others, right?
So what would you rate?
So this women. So even the action figures reflect Robbie's change, who is a producer, PGA on the film.
Okay.
Right? Harley Quinn action figures before and after. I showed you that, right?
Okay.
With that being said, Journey Smollett Bell as Black Canary is a badass character that needs a spin-off movie as soon as possible. Her and Will Smith's Deadshot should do a film as soon as possible. It should be done. They definitely shouldn't have another Suicide Squad without Will Smith.
Right.
And so they should wait for Will Smith, because Will Smith just came off of Bad Boys, the baddest movie going right now, going to town, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they should definitely look to do that, right?
Yep.
So now, let's break this film down.
Okay.
Storytelling, through line. I give that a 7. And the reason why I give it a 7 is the breakup was a weak reason for everything. It was the concept of the breakup was weak, right? Image size, film grammar, I give that a 10. Using an unreliable narrator, I give that a 10.
Okay.
Non-linear storytelling, I give that a 10. The costuming, I give it a 7. No sexy on any of the women. None of the women were portrayed, or no one had a sexy thing going on, which is that's what the Harley Quinn situation is a cheesecake thing, right? Lighting, set design, 10. Editing, 10. Sound, music, 10. Action sequences, 10.
Right.
So, in average, what would you rate the film? What would you rate the film? What did you like about it?
I liked the acting.
Okay.
The acting was great in the film. Matter of fact, while we were sitting there, we talked about Smollett, Journey Smollett. Like her acting was like really good in the film. So they did a great job in the acting. Margot Robbie did a great job. The entire cast. The music was great throughout the film. It was hilarious. The writing was great. I love the visuals, right? So the costume and design, colorful costumes, just the energy, like the women that came together. I'm not gonna tell the movie, and the women came together and they kicked butt. So I was quite entertained. And I definitely give the movie a 10. And I definitely would go see the movie again, because there was a lot of, action going on throughout the film. And I think they did a really good job.
Oh, okay. All right. So
I wasn't going to the film just to see the cheesy outfits.
But I mean, this is
it was a good film.
I mean, it was a good film, but this is what the character is, and that's what the appeal is. And
I think the appeal is her personality.
No,
right?
the appeal
and she's like real fast at the tongue. And,
her appeal is her sexuality, because her sexuality is what beguiles the men, and if the sexuality is not there.
In the film,
I don't think so. I mean,
you're not talking about like her character was fun. She was sexy. She was flirty.
Right.
She kicked ass.
From a female point of view, she was sexy.
But I mean,
what I'm telling you is that if I'm saying this just as a person who produces film and produces a story, and what the story is supposed to be about. It's okay for it to be Me Too.
The story's not supposed to be about her
running
around in panties.
But that's what it was. Wasn't that what it was in
That's
Suicide
what it was.
Squad, I don't
Suicide
think
Squad.
so.
She had on the cute little shorts.
No, she had on the shorts and her cakes was out, and they purposely shot the back scene, and her cakes were out in the scene. That's why the figure tells you what you saw in the movie. I mean, I didn't make the action figure.
But the movie wasn't about
I didn't make the action figure. I just said what was in the movie of Suicide Squad, and that's what it was, because that's how the character was drawn in the comic book, and her sexiness and her comedy and her ability.
But it shows you right there.
I know. It shows you right there. So
before anyone goes to the theater and they know what they're getting from what you see from the poster.
And listen now.
Right.
Because young teenagers read comic books.
Okay.
The people, they have already said that they drew it for the libido of the little boys that would buy comic books. They drew the women sexy. We go to a certain business organization. We go to, and what do they have? They have the comedy memorabilia on the wall, and all the women, DC and Marvel, are drawn sexy.
Well, that's because it's a man's
that's exactly right.
So
so that's what I'm saying. So it's all right for there to be Me Too and enough right now, but I don't. Contracts have been signed, but I don't think that unless she gets herself back into fighting shape to be able to get up there on the screen. This was cool, but this is not what Harley Quinn is. And with that being said, I said storyline 7, image size film grammar 10, using an unreliable narrator 10, a nonlinear storytelling 10, costume 7, lighting sign up 10, editing 10, sound music 10, action sequences 10, mean average. I give it a 9.3. What did you give it?
You did good.
I went by mean averaging and not by.
That was pretty good.
Right. So what did you give it?
A 10.
Okay, so it's 9.3.
So the film a pretty good
I mean,
score.
you can go on ahead and see the film, but these are the concerns leading into the next episode, and how long, for however long, Margot Robbie portrays the character. The character, you're not supposed to be on the screen and the person's walking in this baggy in the back. It's just not happening.
I think it's something they chose to do.
No, it's something that they chose to do because
that's something they chose to do because in the Tarantino film she was just in, she wore cute little shorts and everything. So I think this is something that they chose.
She didn't.
As Sharon Tate.
As Sharon Tate, she wore like sundresses,
and she wore a bathing suit.
Yeah, but she was sitting down.
But the point is.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the comic books were drawn as a fantasy.
Well, they're changing their image now.
Fine. If they change their image. So this is why the box office, the Bad Boys for Life originally came out, and they garnered 9.4 million in their opening, right? Right. This film, they say, is flying low because it only garnered 2.4 million at the box office for its premiere.
That was for its premiere, but as of today, it made $7,985,000.
Okay,
so it's the number one film.
Okay, it's the number one film now because, like I said, Bad Boys in its opening made 9.6. It came under what they expected, especially coming off of Suicide Squad. And I can tell you that movies are word of mouth. And word of mouth says, it's not like the comic book, dude. Oh, I'll just wait for it in whatever way that I'm going to see it. So the proof of what I'm saying is not. I'm not saying it to be malicious, to be vicious, to be anything, but the comic book character, the women in the comic book characters. See, I was never a comic book head. I was into DJing and hip hop, right? So, but I know a lot of. I knew I had two comic book heads that were my friends, right? And I know what they wanted to see, and so
today they made $7 million, but overall weekend it brought in 33.3 million.
okay.
So
I mean, so over the week, so I mean that's pretty good, but it's still,
good.
but by the reports, it's still flying lower than what it was expected to do. So that's what we're saying, and that is part of the reason. That it's no doubt in my mind that that's part of the reason, and so they need to tighten it up if they want the Harley Quinn character to survive. She's got to tighten up and be ready to put it across the film. Or
but we both gave it a
I mean, we gave it a good score. See the film; it is entertaining. It is everything except for that case of the cheesecake, and that's what a large majority of the people go to the film to see. Even the couple who were together that were lesbians said that it fell short. Because I always ask people once we come out the theater, what do you think? What do you think? And they were like, no, she wasn't bad enough.
Well, maybe they wanted her to wear a little skimpy clothes too.
Well, okay. Well, then, so that's the heterosexual male and the lesbian female wants to see and so that's why the box office. And so let's tighten it up. Moving on, people.
Briar's Patch.
The Briar Patch, right? So the Briar Patch came on, and we saw the first 2 episodes. This right here is the official trailer, and we're just playing it there in the back for you, right? The official trailer of the Briar Patch, right? She, starring Rosario Dawson, right? Her character returns home after her sister dies she finds that some of the same old characters are still scheming while learning the new players in town, right? Now, Briar Patch to me, as I get the analogy of it, right, is the Briar Patch, Brer Rabbit, right? Brer Fox didn't know that Brer Rabbit was actually from the Briar Patch, right? So there are people who know that she's from the Briar Patch, and many don't know, and that is the analogy of the film,
right?
You know, that she is in her ways of coping with things because she knows what the Briar Patch is like, is what it is. So the first 2 episodes of the piece are pretty good. First 2 episodes of the piece are really, really good.
Yeah,
right?
you can check it out on USA.
Yeah, it plays like a movie.
Yeah.
Right? It plays, each episode plays like a movie.
Yeah.
The cinematography on it,
yes,
I give it a 10.
I would too.
The storytelling,
yeah,
I give it a 10.
Yeah.
Movement of the camera, I give it a 10.
Yeah.
Film grammar, I give it a 10.
Yeah.
Use of dialogue to bring context, 10.
Yeah.
Context meaning the backstory of characters, it's a 10. Lighting, 10.
Yeah.
Frame size and image angles, I give it a 10. Character development, 10. What would you rate Briar Patch?
I mean, Briar Patch is a great show. And like I told you, I said I forget that I'm not watching an actual film. You know, I mean, this is USA Network, you know, and it feels like I'm watching something from a film from HBO or a film from the theater, or because it's so well done and the cinematography is beautiful. The lines, great lines, well written, you know, and really smart, you know, and smart writing. And Rosario Dawson really kills her character. She's smart. She's how would you describe her? She's a kick-ass. She's smart, and she loves her family, right? Which is the reason why she's back home.
Mm-hmm.
And so just a great film. It's on television. It's a series, but it feels like a film.
Feels like a film.
Every
episode.
And
what I noticed,
because we've seen 2 episodes so far.
Mm-hmm. What I notice about this is I see a lot of people who usually wouldn't get a chance in a network series.
Right.
And I think that comes from Rosario Dawson and her friendships over the years in the industry and bringing these people in who are bringing these characters to life alongside her. You know how we often talk about how black actors will insist upon having people cast that they would, you know, because there have been films where there are certain black actors who are not necessarily conscious that they will cast all Caucasian characters up and down the board acting opposite them, but this town is a multicultural town. It represents as a multicultural town, well put together, and I think it has to do with the strength of Rosario Dawson demanding that, being in the process, you know.
Is she the executive producer?
Yeah, she's one, I believe.
Okay.
So people, see Briar Patch.
Yep.
It comes on USA.
Yep.
Network
Thursdays
at 10 p.m.
Yeah. 10 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, 10 p.m. Pacific and 7. That would be 7 p.m. Eastern.
Right.
So make sure that you see that. And people, this wraps up another great episode of the Film Review.
Yes.
Movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
Yes.
We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy.
I am the voice of the filmmaker. My wife is the voice
of the critic.
And so, people, stay tuned for our 100th episode next week.
Wow.
Our 100th episode next week. Can you believe it? And so we will see you then, because we have another jam-packed show within this month, which is Black History Month. And Black History Month this year has 29 days. It's leap.
Wow.
So people, stay tuned, and we will see you next week on the Film Review.
Yes.
On the Film Review.
The Film Review. Music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on Facebook at Crazon Dion.
Hey everybody, this is Lunell, the original bad girl of comedy. I'm here at the Link Promenade in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, and you're watching the Film Review.